Silkpunk fantasy? What even is that? Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizard of the Reads. And as always guys, I'm Andrew. And today I got another book review for you. But before we get into that book review, make sure you're liking and subscribing, hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. Also make sure you're checking that description box down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord, as well as links to all my social media and information about my Patreon. And today guys, we are talking about book 1 in the Dandelion Dynasty, Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. Guys, this is probably going to be a slight ramble review because, it's so hard to keep my thoughts in order about this because I really enjoyed this book. But at the same time, after hearing about this book for so many months, I'm not entirely sure where it kind of fits within, is this one of my favorites? Could this been executed a little better? That's one of the problems with, booktube darlings, is a lot of times you're like, man, that was good, but was it that good? And I don't know yet. I finished it yesterday, and I'm still kind of sitting here simmering in my thoughts. So you're going to get my kind of just ramble thoughts on this book. But it is going to be non-spoiler, and hopefully it can help you decide on if you want to start this one or not. So this is an Asian-inspired fantasy. It's very heavy in the political elements. It's also very heavy in humanity. And that's what's really interesting about that is what Ken Liu does is, so before starting this series, I'd only read the short story, The Paper Menagerie. And he was able to pack so much emotion into 15 pages that he actually brings that skill here to Grace of Kings. And the way it focuses in on humanity is he is able to inject characters out of nowhere, and then he'll give you a short backstory on these characters, and they may not have they may influence the story, but they may only have a small part to play that then influences the greater whole. But what he does is he can take 10 to 15 pages and make you fall in love with that character very quickly, and so he's able to inject likable characters into the story very quickly. He also writes his characters in a way where there were multiple times during reading this I thought he was going to tank a character, where it's oh, you just ruined the character, and then he's like, no, this is a very human thing for this character to do, and so it just makes it all better. And he's able to pull it off. He's able to redeem characters, or make you see where this character is coming from, and he makes it all make sense. So that's one of the great things I love about this. Now, the term Silkpunk, I guess literally all Silkpunk is it's just Asian steampunk. That's it. It's basically Da Vinci style Renaissance Da Vinci inventions in a ancient Asian setting. And this place takes place on the islands of Daru. And I guess we could say it follows two main characters, and that's Kunigara and Matazindu, I believe is his last name. But we're going to kind of set them to the side, because basically at the start of the story, the islands of Daru have just been conquered maybe 10-15 years ago by an emperor. And this emperor has kind of unified writing, he's unified culture, he's unified all these things, but he's done it through force. And so he is not loved by a lot of the political rebels and things of that nature. The common people are kind of cool with him, but the actual people in power don't really like this emperor. And so, there is a power struggle where people want things to go back to the way they were before, even though the way they were before wasn't really ideal. And then, there's just all these different political factions. This is a very politically heavy book, but I kind of like it because even though usually I don't like it when it's done that way, it's very, very interesting. And then, so basically the islands of Daru, we deal with succession, the emperor dies, his son takes over, and then there's political struggles, there's rebellions, there's just counterplots and plot points. One thing I will say about this is I think this is a 600-page book. This could have easily been 1,200 pages. There is so much packed into here. It's one of those books where a blink and you miss it type of deal, and it's got so many small, intricate moving parts. And like I said earlier, Ken Liu is very good at injecting just a random character into the narrative and then making you fall in love with that character that you're like, I don't care that, like, they've been injected so late in the game. There's a character in here who is put in at, like, page 500 and then is integral to the outcome of the story. And they just don't appear until, like, 450 or 500. But at the same time, you don't care because when that character is introduced, they are just so entertaining. And I think that's something that's really interesting. One of the elements that I didn't quite really enjoy here is the way that this story works is that, you know, we've got your human-based characters, and then you've got some god characters, and the god characters kind of interact, and they can't directly influence their human followers, but they can kind of, like, offer assistance, or they can offer some guidance, or they can, you know, give advice, or, like, you know, just a little tap in this direction. And so you've kind of got a conflict among the gods where the gods want a certain outcome with their followers, but, like, their followers don't necessarily want it. So you've kind of got two different levels of narrative going on here. And I think one of the problems is whenever the gods were on the page, I didn't really care. And B, it felt like, yeah, okay, this is kind of good, but it didn't really enrich the story all that much for me. I would have much rather the gods been a more abstract thing. Now, there is one god in here that I kind of liked, and he's the turtle god. He's kind of cool, but other than that, it didn't really work for me. And so, basically, our main characters here, we are following Kunigara, who is just nobody. He is born a nobody and becomes this kind of, like, rebel leader. And then we've got, when we meet Kuni, he's kind of like this gangster. He's very much just drinking around town. He's loved by the toughs around town, so he, like, brings businesses to the taverns and stuff like that. He's very well spoken, but he's got a heart of gold. And so there's Kuni. Kuni's my favorite character, honestly, in this entire story, mainly because I loved his jabs. Like, he's got this gag where this is like a world where they use, like, seals, where, like, oh, hey, you know, I can pay you, but I don't have any cash on me. So here, and he'll, like, take a seal, but it's, like, obstructed just enough that, like, it can be taken for anything. He's like, here, take it to this house, and they'll pay you. But he's not affiliated with those people, and so he's, like, playing a prank and helping people at the same time. So he's kind of like a Robin Hood character of stealing from the rich, giving to the poor type of deal. It's very, very good. And then we've got Mata Zindu. And Mata Zindu is this big, burly warrior who is very much like, you know, might means right. And he's very, very good at this, where he's kind of created a relationship between Mata and Kuni, where, like, you know, Mata is this bull of a man, and Kuni's just this kind of low-level gangster. And the way that they come together is that Mata's, you know, from nobility. He's from the Zindus, who used to be, like, the marshals, which is kind of the rank of, like, a leader of the military from way back in the day. And, you know, Mata's trying to bring back the glory of his house. And the way that he and Kuni come together is that, like, Mata will push Kuni to be more confrontational, and Kuni will come in and he'll shave off a little bit of the harsh edges of Mata, because Mata's kind of dumb. He's a meathead. That's exactly who Mata is. He isn't necessarily a bad person, but he is very much influenced by his rage and is very, very given to giving into, like, the temptations of power and sort of stuff like that. So I really like the core struggle and friendship between these two characters and the way that they kind of play off of each other. It's very, very interesting. Overall, like, I really enjoyed this book. One thing I think that Ken Liu does well is the female representation here. Even though it takes a more traditional look at the female characters, like this is very much a traditional Asian setting where, like, the king can have multiple wives, and, you know, the women are very much marrying, and, like, arranged marriages and stuff like that. There are still moments where Ken Liu will take a female character and just shove her to the forefront and make her shine. He gives characters with no agency their own agency. You can actually feel when he's in the book giving these women their agency and letting them shine through. It is awesome. Like, it's very much like, you know, women change the world. Women can do warfare. Women can lead from the front. Women can change the face of the earth and the way they can topple kingdoms. They can, kill monarchs. They can do all sorts of things that, like, and it's funny to watch the men react to this, because, when a woman in this story does something that a man doesn't think they should, they're just caught completely flat-footed, and it's a joy to read. Like, there's one guy towards the end of the book where he's just like, "You didn't follow the rules!" And a woman's like, "Your rules are dumb, and that's why you lost." Like, it's great. It's great to see. I really, really enjoyed the aspects of the female representation within this book. It is all very well done. Overall, I gave this one either a 4. I bounced between a 4 and a 4.5 because I really enjoyed it. But at the same time, it was very, very complex and very, very multi-layered, which isn't necessarily a problem. If that's your thing, this could easily be a 5-star read. I think that it could be a 5-star read upon a reread for me. But right now, I'm going to sit at the 4-star range. But if you like good female representation, if you like very well-crafted Asian-inspired, like this feels like an Asian world. If you love Asian-inspired fantasy and you love steampunk, yes, Silkpunk, I guess, is the term that you're looking for. This series is shaping up to be a powerhouse. I am super excited to continue this series because I'm planning on doing one a month and just making my way through until the series is complete. Also, I didn't point this out, but look at this map, by the way. Look at this. That is a gorgeous map of the islands of Daru. Sorry, I just kind of saw it and was just like, oh my gosh, that's sure beautiful. But yeah, that's really all I've got for you guys. This is a great, great book. It is tragic. It is poignant. It is a struggle. It is funny. It is all sorts of just complex. This is a very complex book. Please, this is one you should be checking out, and I do think that it did live up to the hype that at least I've been hearing about. So that's really all I've got for you guys. Till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.